Do you think that General Patton was woke? I don't think so. What do you think, Mike? Mike, was he woke? I don't think so. I don't think he was too woke. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit. This is a sick culture, and our country's a disaster, and it's going to die before your very eyes. Women's soccer team was supposed to easily win, but they went woke. The one with the purple hair, she didn't play too well. She went woke. Take a look, everything goes bad, but it's true about woke. Do you think that General Patton was woke? It's crazy. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit. Our country was so respected. Nobody was gonna mess with us. And then this clown, he got in office, sort of like the captain of a ship. Let's jump off first before the passengers. I'm getting the hell out of here. I could just see this, the leadership of the Taliban standing there. Somebody walking up, sir, the soldiers have left. It's crazy. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit. You know what? I believe totally in your freedoms. I do. You gotta do what you have to do. But I recommend take the vaccines. I did it. It's good. Take the vaccines. But that's okay. That's all right. You got your freedoms. But I happen to take the vaccine. It's crazy. I've never seen anything so stupid in my life. Woke. You know what woke means? It means you're a loser. Woke. Everything woke turns to shit.
Wright and Spike Cohen.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For Spike, George, Rosh Hashanah, Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom.
I like that. And it's Rosh Hashanah, too.
It's Rosh Hashanah. Happy Rosh Hashanah.
Happy Rosh Hashanah, everybody. I like that. Folks, thanks so much for tuning into this episode of The Muddy Waters of Freedom, the most amazing show to ever be on a Tuesday night with two libertarians, one of whom is extremely sunburnt, but he's going to get through it anyway.
And the other is extremely good looking.
And whatever. But you know what? You are extremely good looking. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Thank you. You are too, but you're also very sunburned. So.
You. So, hey, folks, thanks again for tuning in. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow, 5-star, 10-star, share, do all the things, all the various algorithmic things that one can do to promote us on social media, because Facebook hates us, like, a lot. And really hates us. And if you are subscribing to us on YouTube, be sure to hit the bell and mute your phone. Be sure to hit the bell, because I want your phone to explode with notifications every time we go live. Gift a gift of Muddied Waters today. Kids love it, Matt.
Yes, first and foremost, allow me to thank the wonderful and fantastic Casey Nestor Carbonella for today's kava.
And allow me to thank Le Bleu for this water that is Jewish and whatever. Also, allow me to thank American Airlines. I'm going to do this. I flew back from Miami today after a very successful Spike Cohen, Florida tour. And on the way back, we usually get upgraded to first for free because we fly so much and we high at the points level and all that stuff. But this plane had like the first class was like this like mini suite that you would get, and it had your own little cubbies and your own TV, and the seat went all the way like it would lie down flat, and so we got to be in that. And I've never wished that a flight was longer before, but I wish this one was like 10 hours long. That was fun. Bulavanaka.
Bulavanaka.
This episode, of course, is brought. No,
go ahead. No, do
this
that.
episode, of course.
That makes much more sense to do at the beginning of the show.
Yes. This episode, of course, is brought to you by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, the fastest growing caucus and the second largest caucus in the Libertarian Party at its current rate of growth. It will be the largest caucus in like a year or two or something, some ridiculous thing like that. Also, and if you want to become a member, go to the Facebook group Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, or you can become an official voting member by going to muddiedwatersmedia.com/store and getting yourself a shirt or a button that has the Waffle House Caucus logo on it. The Gravy King. Cumberland Cannabis. If you'd like to buy Delta 8 and CBD products, wink, wink, you can go to cumberlandcannabisco.com and get you some viable, ethical, and effective Tennessee-based CBD products, if you know what I mean. Joe Solosky is running for governor of Pennsylvania. Joe Solosky is the key to Pennsylvania's success, and if you'd like to help Joe become the first libertarian governor in the history of humankind, and humanity, then go to joesolosky.com, JoeSoloski.com. Jack Casey has these books. One day, he's going to get us a graphic that shows all three of them. But in the meantime...
He does. It's in the sponsorship section of our notes in Google Drive.
Wait. Hold on.
Okay.
I don't see it. This one. Oh.
Yeah. It's definitely there.
Well, hold on. Well, Jack Casey has
Jack Casey has a new book
Jack
out.
Casey has a book. Wow, look at some of them there. Hold on. Why is...
You have the weirdest way of doing this. You don't start from the opposite corner.
No. Well, I'm left-handed. So, Jack Casey has these books. You knew about the Royal Green and In Silver Throned, but now we have Crowned It by Gold, which is the part 3 of the Royal Green series. Part 3 of the Royal Green series by Jack Casey. Now, we don't know what these books are about. We never will. You'll have to tell us by going to theroyalgreen.com and buying yourself some sweet-ass Jack Casey books. Adderpan is the most horrifying thing that has ever paid me to talk about it. This is a game that is just horrifying. I watched a video game walkthrough video gameplay video of this game, and God, I don't get it. I don't get why apparently this is a whole genre that people like, the jump scare genre. This will cost you only $5 on Steam, including all the updates so that they can make it more horrifying over time. And it only costs $5 plus the cost of your ongoing mental health care, which apparently you already need because you like stuff like this. Fierce Luxury by Ashley. Once you've had to deal with the horrors that are Adderpan, you can do some retail therapy, huh? 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 Fierce Luxury by Ashley features high-end bags and accessories from the likes of Louis Vuitton, Coach, Hermes, and I don't know.
Others.
Balenciaga, and others. You can also consign with Ashley at a low cost of 30%, which is literally 20% less than any other consignment shop charges. If you want to become a part of this movement, go to fierceluxurybyashley.com, or you can join the Facebook group, the exclusive high-end Facebook group, Fierce Luxury by Ashley. And speaking of high-end, exclusive, and fits in a bag, Thomas Queter is running for state senate in the 52nd District of New York. Thomas Queter runs better than Albany, which is funny because he's crippled. And he asked me to say that, and it's weird every time I do, and I do it anyway because I love the man. He's a good man, and I love him, and I like that he has the sense of humor he does. But he also is incredibly honest and trustworthy and hardworking. He cares about people. You could not find a better person to be in the seat that he's running for. And if you'd like to help him become the first Libertarian state senator in New York, go to tomfor52.com, TOMFOR 52.com, and help him today. Matt.
I'm currently watching the walkthrough of Adderpan, and I see what you're talking about.
It's so
like it just feels stressful watching like the 30 seconds that I've watched.
So stressful. And
I don't even know what that
happening.
thing is. And
there's nothing happening, and you look and there are just these dolls, and they're like, and then you move and like that. Like it's. I don't get it. I don't understand.
I'm going back to the chat.
I don't understand it. I don't understand why people are into it. I don't get it. Whatever. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Anyway, you know what else I do? But you know what I do get, Matt? Hey, Matt. Is there?
I'm not going to say that. Monthly blood transfusions.
It's not a blood. Do you think I get a blood transfusion every month?
Do you not get a blood transfusion every month?
No, I get an infusion. No, I get an infusion, not a transfusion. They put medicine in me.
Oh, I figured they were changing out
my blood. My blood's got MS in it. No, it's help. My blood. They used to use leeches, and this is way
leeches.
Better now.
Yeah, use leeches to get rid.
I got the leech in my MS. I'm glad you learned that about me today. No, Matt. What we do get is random auctions. We have something we're auctioning off. There's a little bit of
we have something random we're auctioning off.
Yes, there's a bit of a backstory to this.
There is a bit of a backstory to this. So a few months ago, God, that's been a couple of months now, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow, time.
It's been it's over 2 months. No, it's been about a month and a half.
Okay.
Well, don't unroll it yet. Don't unroll it yet.
Okay, all right. So about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, somewhere in that range, Spike was invited to be a part of the shooting event with the philosopher and Jack Lloyd. I was at the event, and we went shooting together up in Tarpon area. I think, we'll call it Tarpon, up in Tarpon Springs, up in Pinellas County here. And we had a great time. A really nice shooting range. We had a good amount of fun. And we shot a lot of targets. One of these targets.
Yeah, so my wife helped choose targets, and one of the ones she chose was called Susan. And Susan is a lady. Well, don't do it yet. Susan is a lady.
I think it's
who-
called Help Susan.
Possibly. Susan. Susan was being held captive by someone. They were holding a gun to her head, or no, to her stomach or something. They were holding a gun to her. We'll all see together shortly. Doesn't really matter now. They held a gun and they were holding her hostage. And the point is to not hit Susan and to instead save Susan from her captor. And I told everyone this. We're going to save Susan. This is important. And so while I was shooting another target, I was saving us from, I believe, the clown with the grenades.
Yes.
Another one of the attendees, good guy, big fan of mine.
Good friend of mine.
You can good friend and
Good friend of mine.
Well, so he just destroyed Susan.
He murdered Susan. If you look at Susan here, you can see nice grouping right into Susan's face.
He emptied his magazine into Susan.
Yeah, he just emptied his mag right into Susan's head.
From
and
about
Spike
25 yards,
got vengeance. For Susan.
I avenged Susan.
Yes, the gun is pointed at Susan's stomach.
Yes.
But so Spike and I have both signed this. And as you can see, and this one says Susan is the power.
Susan was the power. Susan was the power.
Susan was the power. Yeah, Susan was the power. It's hard to read on the screen here. It's very small. But Susan was the power. And so both of us have signed this, and we will be auctioning this off today.
Yes, we're auctioning it off. So for those of you who have not done the auction before, the way that we do it is you just randomly put bids in the comments, and we keep track of who the highest bid is throughout the show. And at the end of the show, we'll announce who the winner is. Well, Midwest Guy says Susan runs the matriarchy. She doesn't anymore. She doesn't run anything.
She doesn't do anything anymore.
Susan has been a better place than, well, the firing range was for her.
She got taken hostage by a random guy whose name's not even on the thing, and then a vigilante who wanted to help the hostage taker.
Yeah, that was which was weird. But in a way, he didn't really help him either, because the hostage taker, once he doesn't have the hostage alive anymore, then there's no reason to keep him alive. So really, this helped no one.
Really did not help anybody.
There was just not.
So we will be auctioning off the hostage series Susan.
Poor Susan.
Yeah, hostage series Susan. As you can see right here. Nope, other side. Hostage series Susan. Target that is autographed by the both of us today.
Yep.
And you can have this lovely thing hanging above your bed.
Yep. You
can get it framed, hang it above your bed, and you can.
Every morning you can wake up. We have a bid of $5. Every morning you can wake up and look at this and be reminded that if you are taken hostage, to make sure I'm there first.
You don't want Joe there first.
You don't want Joe there first. If someone says, "Hey, I'm a big fan of Spike," do not assume the best, because at least one of them
will take out a hostage.
At least one of them is. Yeah, they just want to resolve it quickly.
Just get rid of the hostage. He saw Speed way too many times as a child, and when Keanu was like, "You shoot the hostage," he was like, "Oh, well, yeah, just shoot the hostage. Then you don't have to worry about hostage negotiations."
Yeah. So if you'd like for there to be, if you want to make it home, just make sure it's me and not a fan of mine.
Shannon Schoenhart, I apologize if I just butchered your last name, Shannon, bid $50.
She also said LOL, so let's make sure that's... Well, Joe Gualtieri bid $69. I'm just concerned if these are real bids. if these are real bids, if you can confirm, please. So because
So right now
July 5th,
it's at $69 because I'm going to
right
go
now
with
it's at
69 is a
$69.
real
We're
bid.
gonna go with $69. So while we get clarification on these bids and possibly new ones, we're going to go on to talk about some really non-controversial stuff. The three A's: Afghanistan, abortion, and Ahmaud Arbery. So pretty much just all the things that aren't controversial. And we're going to start that with the Mudwater Mushroom Coffee Replacement Cacao Rapid Fire segment, brought to you by Mudwater, the most appropriately named sponsor that we could possibly have, unless something actually wants to be called the Muddied Waters Media product or whatever. Mudwater is a coffee alternative. Instead of drinking coffee, you could instead delight your senses with masala chai, cacao, mushrooms, turmeric, sea salt, cinnamon, and literally nothing else. And if you're
Nothing else.
if you look at those ingredients and you think, wow, that would taste like that.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. No, if you would look at that and you go, wow, that seems like it would taste like those ingredients put together in like a
You would be right.
In a kind of a dirt form, then yeah, that's literally what it is. And I say this as someone who takes this. It's very good. It's good for you. Give you that. And honestly, if you put enough honey on anything, it starts to just taste like honey. And so if you want to have dirt that tastes like honey, and it has 1/7 of the caffeine of coffee, just enough to get you like this. Actually, this isn't a good time because I'm pretty sunburnt and I did a lot this weekend with the Spike Cohen Florida tour. But usually I'm a little bit more chipper, but not so worked up on caffeine that you end up like how I feel right now, but like every day. To go to muddywatersmedia.com/mud and join the Mudwater revolution today. It's a movement. Join the movement. Mudwater.
I was just going to let you flounder at the end.
Let me just keep going.
So, Joe Gutierrez, let us know if your bid was real, so that way we know where other people should bid. And I'm pretty certain I just pronounced your last name correctly. So let us know, Joe Gutierrez.
I think it's Gualtieri.
I think it's Gutierrez. Because the sheriff in our county is Bob Gutierrez, and he spells it exactly the same way.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, then maybe it's Gutierrez.
So, in a leaked transcript of a phone call, this may sound familiar from a few years ago. It's different, I promise. In a leaked transcript of a phone call that took place between sundowning Joe Biden and Afghan President Ashraf Ghani on July 23rd,
we actually have, this is breaking, we actually have the video of this. It was released right as we were going live, so Matt doesn't know yet, but they released the video. It's an audio transcript. It's the audio of it in video form. So here we're gonna go with that real quick.
I love it.
No way.
And I had a nurse nurses at Walter Reed Hospital who would bend down and whisper in my ear.
Wow.
And go home and get me pillows. They would make sure they'd actually, probably nothing ever taught in, you can't do it in the COVID time, but they'd actually breathe in my nostrils to make me move, to get me moving.
Okay, so here's the leaked transcript.
It shows that Biden was attempting to convince the former Afghan leader to change his story on what was going on in Afghanistan before the Taliban took over the country. Now, here are the excerpts. And when I say this is basically Biden's his introduction and everything he said before the Afghan leader said a word in these calls. You know, I am a moment late, but I mean it sincerely. Hey, look, I want to make clear that I am not a military man any more than you are. This is coming from the commander in chief of these United States. I am not a military man any more than you are, but I have been meeting with our Pentagon folks and our national security people as you have with ours and yours. And as you know, and I need not tell you, the perception around the world and in parts of Afghanistan, I believe, is that things aren't going well in terms of the fight against the Taliban.
No.
They're right. And there's a need, whether it is true or not, there is a need to project a different picture.
This sounds bad.
So he is asking him to lie.
Yeah.
If you empower Defense Minister Bismillah Khan Mohammadi to execute a strategy focused on key parts of the population centers, and I'm not a military guy, so I'm not telling you what that plan should precisely look like, you're not only going to get more help, but you're going to get a perception that is going to change in terms of how our allies and
unclear. He said something that people who do this for a living couldn't figure out what he said. Our
allies and folks here in the States and other places think you're doing. You clearly have the best military.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly. You have 300,000. Clearly. You have 300,000 well-armed forces versus 70 to 80,000, and they're clearly capable of fighting well. Again, clearly. We will continue to provide close air support if we know what the plan is and what we are doing, and all the way through the end of August, and who knows what after that. So if you read this,
what after that?
If you read this, it says we need to change the perception. We don't care if it's true. And if you put Bismillah in charge, you will continue to get support from us. From here until we don't know in the future, which sounds to me a lot like a quid pro quo, which Trump got impeached on. And again, not Trump fans here, not Trump fans. But when asked about this, Jen Psaki said, I'm not going to get into private diplomatic conversations or leak transcripts of phone calls. However, in 2019, when Donald Trump's conversations with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky leaked, she tweeted, it's not just the call transcript. The whistleblower complaint would likely have more details. We need both. Where is the difference now?
The difference is that this one is a national security issue, because this is the use of the military. So there's another part of this. If we go back to the linked phone call here, at the end it says, we will continue to provide close air support if we know what the plan is and what we are doing, and all the way through the end of August, and who knows what after that. But before that, he says, yeah, everyone thinks that this isn't going well, that the Afghan National Army isn't doing a good job, and we need to change that. It sounds like what he's saying is, and of course now we know what ended up happening, but it sounds like what he's saying is, if you make this look like you're winning, we'll stick around more. Which means that when we now know he decided not to stick around and just to leave, and even to leave a bunch of equipment there and everything, and even to leave a bunch of Americans there, not to mention tens of thousands of Afghan ally civilians there. It sounds like what happened after this was that the Afghan government was like, no, we're not going to do that. And that he was like, all right, well then we're just leaving, which I actually don't disagree with that decision. But it or at least the decision, I don't disagree with the decision to leave, but I think it sounds like the reason he left was because the Afghan government didn't agree to make it look like they were winning.
Right. And
Like do a PR
yes,
thing.
I agree. I agree with the decision to leave. I don't agree with him going, okay, we're going to pull 90% of the military and leave everybody else.
Yeah, and scapegoat the Americans that were stuck there. You had
Yeah.
Mayorkas saying, "Well, they've known for months. They're embassy workers. They're literally doing the work that you have hired them to do. They're desperately trying to do as much as they can, and then they find out you're leaving, and then you're like, oh yeah, well, we're out of here. It's what a mess. Yeah, no, they're. I'm failing to see if Trump's quid pro quo was or alleged quid pro quo was enough to get him impeached. This was a quid pro quo that involved the U.S. military sticking around.
Right. And past deadlines that were promised and stated.
Yeah.
Because he said through the end of August, and we will see after that, or who knows after that. I don't remember the exact term, but he said it could possibly go on past the end of August, which granted September 11th, when he promised to be out, is past the end of August. But I don't think he just meant for the next 11 days.
Yeah. Who knows past that doesn't mean 11 days.
Right.
So speaking of, go ahead.
No, just nothing.
So, speaking of corrupt government agents and functionaries that are causing damage in order to help their allies, the FDA, which is basically owned by Big Tobacco, the FDA will have to decide which e-cig and vaping products will be allowed to be sold in the U.S.
As anybody who watches
by September, not by Thursday.
By Thursday, yeah. And anybody who watches this show probably understands my outrage. Whether or not the FDA will be able to reach this deadline is uncertain because hundreds of thousands of applications have come in, and they are probably not going to be able to get through all of them. Many of the companies who have already been denied permission to sell their product here in the United States have stated they're going to be switching to a synthetic version of nicotine and one that isn't derived from tobacco in order to avoid regulation on tobacco from the agency.
That's definitely going to be more healthy.
Yeah. So very excited about that possibility of inhaling that. And other companies are just going to shutter, and the absence of vaping in the market is going to drive thousands, if not more, back to smoking, which is not under the purview of the FDA regulations enacted in 2009 because they had been grandfathered in as being sold in the United States before 2007. Yeah, somebody said K2 of vapes. Yes, it's the K2 of vapes.
Yes.
Or yeah, the spice of vapes.
Spice. Yeah, pretty much. And we talk about reducing the cost of healthcare. The effects of smoking, the two of the biggest drivers of healthcare costs are smoking and obesity. And it is absurd that here you have something that is immeasurably safer than smoking. There have been how many confirmed deaths from vaping, and they were all due to black market cartridges that were the wrong concentrations and stuff like that. I mean, it's been
the vitamin C thing or whatever, where they were coming from China.
Yeah, there were like 7 of them or something. Like a small, and it's not obviously not discounting the importance of any death, but millions of people around the world die from smoking every year, and many more wait till their day of death and suffer through emphysema and cancer and all sorts of other health problems as a direct dental problems and all sorts of other problems related to smoking. And it is insane that they go, what the problem here is vaping. One of the most effective, probably the most effective way to get people off of smoking. It's
Yeah,
just
and
insane.
so I understand that their biggest issue is that they saw that minors were just picking up vaping, and so many minors were vaping. Well, I remember high school.
Yeah.
You know, when I started smoking, and dipping and using every tobacco product that there was, and they were just like, yeah, whatever. And then now it's now they're like, okay, well, we have to stop this vaping pandemic that we have because because of the amount of underage people who are vaping, and they're doing that because of the flavors and the blah 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 and the blah blah blah. So you have companies like Juul, who instead of having a wide array of flavors, cut it down to tobacco and menthol. And then they banned menthol, everything. So now they just have tobacco flavored Juul pods. And
When I smoked as a minor, which was almost all of the time that I smoked, as soon as I turned like I think it was when I turned like 19, so it was like about a year of it being legal for me to smoke. Having started smoking at 13, it wasn't cool anymore. There wasn't any, like, oh, I can't do this. It's this forbidden thing that I shouldn't do. Now it's just this thing that I do, and it makes my breath smell bad, and I, I cough up blood occasionally, and it was stupid, and I stopped it because it was dumb. And
right.
if it had been flavored, I would have been like, oh, that's kind of, back then I would have thought, well, that's kind of girly. I want the tough guy cigarettes. And I don't think they understand teenagers at all, actually.
I don't think that they do understand. Like, and I know that like a lot of minors were getting their hands on these vaping systems, and I don't think that the response should have been, okay, well, ban it. Should not have been ban it. It should have been shame campaigns on the grocery stores and the gas stations that were selling them to minors.
Right.
Why get rid of it for people who can do it legally? Because some kids did it. And if they get rid of vaping, if they ban any of the products that I use and I have to find new products, or they just get rid of vaping altogether in the United States, I am not going to be a happy person for like a month. I will be a very angry person.
Until you find it illegally. Like that's the stupid thing about
right.
this.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
I know people that make the stuff. So like I could get it from them.
This whole thing is so dumb. Like, everyone knows that when you ban something, it just creates a black market for it. So it's basically the government's going, there's the possibility that this might not be safe. So we're going to ensure that it is as unsafe as possible by driving it into the black market, where there can't be any kind of scrutiny of it, where people can't, compare and contrast online, the quality of different things, where there can't be testing standards that people set, because it's all illegal and you'll go to jail if you do it. It's just so stupid.
It is so stupid.
It is just dumb. And, just to put in perspective the kind of people, the kind of politicians who are behind these kinds of decisions, we just saw for those who remember from last year, I think it's Ahmaud. I think that's how his name is said. Ahmaud Arbery case. I thought it was Ahmad, but it's Ahmaud, I believe. Arbery case back in Georgia. On Thursday, a grand jury indicted Jackie Johnson, who was the DA who presided over that case.
Yes. She has been charged with violating her oath of office, which is a felony, and hindering a law enforcement officer, which is a misdemeanor. This is sort of unprecedented at this point.
There might be an example of this, but I don't know of this having happened before, but I don't know of it. Right.
So these charges stem from Jackie allegedly using her power to protect the men accused of murdering Ahmaud. Or how did you say Ahmaud?
I think it's Ahmaud. I believe it's Ahmaud.
Okay. I thought it was Ahmaud. But Ahmaud, I'll say Ahmaud of murdering Ahmaud. Now, if you don't remember this, we reported on it here. If you go back and watch that episode, we won't get any money because we were demonetized for showing this video. But Ahmaud Arbery he went into into a house that was being constructed. I don't know if it was a new construction or a tear down or whatever, but he went in and just kind of walked around. He had been running around in the neighborhood. Then two guys and one other that was filming this entire thing followed him as he ran out, and he was continuing his jog, and they followed him and they told him to stop. He was like, I don't have to stop. Why would I have to stop for you? And he kept going. And then they jumped out of the trucks, pulled up in front of him, jumped out of the truck. One of them tried to grab him. He hit the guy, and which I believe anybody should. And somebody else, the son, I believe, that was in the back seat, shot him. Or in the bed of the truck, not the back seat, shot him. And somebody was filming this entire thing. And then it got leaked out onto the internet. And they were protected because, as the indictment alleges, Jackie showed favor and affection to Greg McMichael during the investigation, and that she failed to treat Ahmaud Arbery and his family with dignity when she recommended the case be taken over by Waycross Judicial Circuit District Attorney George E. Barnhill, neglecting to disclose that she had previously sought the assistance of DA Barnhill on the case because she used to work with the defendant.
Yep.
She also obstructed police by directing that Travis McMichael should not be placed under arrest because he worked directly for Jackie Johnson.
It was interesting when this came out. Obviously, there was the racial angle. A young black man was killed by a bunch of white people who were literally waiting for him in the middle of the road and gunned him down with shotguns. And what was interesting was that because people didn't realize that these were a retired cop and the retired cop, actually two retired cops and one of the retired cop's sons, they were like, this is the problem with private ownership of weapons. And I was like, no, this is the problem with the thin blue line. Even after they're retired, they get to kill people and have it covered up for them. This is good news. This is the kind of stuff. If there is to be a government, and I am, as many know, an anarchist. What is that? About 46 minutes in.
That ran for the second highest office in the land.
47 minutes in. If there is to be a government, I want them to mostly just be breaking each other's balls and giving each other a hard time when any of them infringe on our lives, rights, and property. That's the only government I want to see. So when I see, this level of government arresting someone at this level of government for, basically covering for murderers, then I'm good with that. That's perfectly fine. I have no problem with that. I think it's good. I hope to see more stuff like this. And I hope that by introducing laws like felony duty to intervene, meaning that police officers, if they see a fellow officer, and not just police officers, if anyone in government sees someone in government, another police officer, a prosecutor, a politician, a government agent, whatever, CPS worker, sees them infringing on someone's lives or rights or property or breaking the law, and they don't intervene the same way they would if a civilian were doing that, they are now an accessory to that crime. That would make more of this happen. A lot more of this happen.
Yes. But yes, again, this is good news. This is, to the best of our knowledge, unprecedented news. You don't hear about the DAs who have been protecting cops getting indicted for protecting cops. And the fact that this is happening is fantastic because hopefully hopefully, this was in Georgia, correct? I believe this was in Georgia.
Yeah, it was in Georgia. Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully other DAs in Georgia will now look at this and go, well, I can't protect cops anymore for doing bad stuff that they deserve to be punished for.
Yep.
Because if I do, I could possibly be sent to prison. And I am not going to say that a DA would fare worse than a cop in prison, but I'm definitely not going to say that they would do better.
A DA, especially a DA who's in there for covering for murdering for murderous cops, they're gonna have a rough time.
They're gonna have a rough time.
Or they're gonna be in isolation for the rest of their life to protect them from that rough time, which means they're gonna just be stuck there by themselves with just them and their thoughts about what that was like, what they did for a very, very long time. And they will serve every day that they remain in there as a great deterrent to other DAs who are thinking of doing a solid for one of their fellow thin blue line officers there. So again, often libertarians, when we see stuff like this, some libertarians will be like, well, but this is government getting involved and you got a higher level of government stopping someone at the lower level of government. And don't we support localization? Yeah, we support localization of decision making.
Right.
At any point when someone in government at any level infringes on someone's lives, rights, or property, anyone who can stop them from doing so, good. So whether it's someone at the city level nullifying something at the state level, or something at the state level nullifying something at the federal level, or someone at the federal or state level stopping someone at a lower level from doing something like this or punishing them for doing it, those are all good things. We should support those things.
Yes.
And so that is a very, very good thing when that happened.
Real quick to the comments. John Morrissey, who, for anybody who doesn't know, John Morrissey is one of the owners of Defy the Power, who make the fantastic tumblers that we will auction off from time to time. And we may have something coming soon for anybody who might want to pay for it in the future. But John Morrissey says, if I remember correctly, there was some pressure to make it a hate crime, and they, the government, resisted. So the men who murdered Ahmaud, according to somebody in the comments, Ahmaud, and I apologize to his family if any of them ever see this. We are sorry if we don't pronounce his name correctly. But the men who murdered him got charged with hate crimes federally. They got federal hate crime charges. So they are also dealing with that on top of this. So if the government resisted, they caved on it eventually.
I'm fine with government officials being charged with hate crimes because that's kind of what their job is. So if they are now being charged for it, I am good. I like the idea of weaponizing government against government. Like, they're going to have to use it against someone. Let them use it against government. And then if you have, people at the federal and state level, cracking down on the cities, and then the cities in a knee-jerk reaction start resisting stuff from the state and federal, this is all good. Like, we want governments that the point of the only governments that you're going to have that in any way are respecting your life and your rights, your property, your autonomy, it's only going to happen if they're distracted by fighting each other constantly. So this is good. And yeah, like Joshua McHose says, the U.S. government is a hate org. That's accurate.
Yes.
The I Am Arizona says, pair this with recent success in the fight against qualified immunity. Police reform activism works. We're seeing there has been a shift. We've crossed a Rubicon. And I don't think, we're going to have, great policing in the future. We're going to, I don't think we're immediately going to see a total sea change in how policing is done or anything like that. But I do think that we're starting to work our way towards that. Robert Selden says, hate crime lies have always bothered me, but I'm unbothered by government officials being charged with exactly. Like, literally any crime. Like, it's like if I hear about a government official being charged with like tax evasion or something, that's fine. I don't believe in taxes, and I don't believe that taxes should exist, and I don't think anyone who is subject to taxes should be punished for not paying them, unless they're a politician. I'm fine with that. That's perfectly
totally fine with it,
because they're the ones who voted for it, and yeah, no, that's good.
So
Anyway, go ahead.
in the most ill-timed thing I'm going to do all night, if you want to get this target filled with bullet holes, the bid is currently $50.
Named Susan.
Named Susan. Susan. It's named
The bid is currently
Susan.
$50.
Bid is currently $50.
$50.
$50. Feel free to bid on this if you would like it. So you could have this hanging over your bed or in your bathroom. You could frame it and put it in the bathroom. So every time that you go to the bathroom, you could take a look at poor Susan and remember that one of Spike's biggest fans shot Susan in the face.
Like 20 times.
Yeah. Emptied that clip right into Susan's face.
Emptied the magazine directly into Susan's head in a pretty impressive grouping, because I believe
it was, yeah.
I believe he also rapid fired. So
I think he did.
It was.
It's on video impressive. Somewhere, I think.
Yeah, no, it was impressive. Susan could have had a better life, but somebody decided to shoot Susans.
Hashtag no more Susans.
No more Susans. Not one more Susan. Never again for Susan. Well, certainly it's never going to happen to Susan again, I can tell you that. So if you want to bid on this, the current high bid is $50.
$50.
And speaking... So if Susan was real, then her survivors could actually sue Joe for killing her. And if they wanted to do that, because this was in Florida, they could hire personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, who is the greatest personal injury attorney in the history of the state of Florida, in my opinion. Yes. And not only will he get you gigantic bags of cash anytime you are injured personally in the state of Florida, but he also is our original sponsor and the sponsor of the personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, Anchor Call-In Moment, where you can call in to anchor.fm/Muddy Waters. You can go there and you can press the leave a message button, and you can leave us messages that we will play right here every Tuesday on the personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, Anchor Call-In Moment. And you can also, when you go there, when you go to anchor.fm/Muddy Waters, you can also donate by pressing the donate button. And now you don't have to donate in order to leave a message or for us to play it here and answer it here at the personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, Anchor Call-In Moment. But if you do give us money, we will like you more.
It's true.
So here is our first question from Eric Brunhammer. Oh, I got it. Hold on, I got to do the thing.
That isn't a...
There we go. Let me just restart that. Restart it. From Eric Brunhammer.
All right, I'm going to try to be quick because I'm recording this in my bathroom. But would we agree that as libertarians that everybody that is in a voted-in position should be limited to 2 4-year terms, just like the president?
Okay, so I think he's asking if we would agree to term limits for people on the LNC.
Can we...
I also hear you in the background.
That everybody that is in a voted-in position should be limited to 2 4-year terms, just like the president.
Yeah, it sounds like he's saying in the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, I think he's talking about in the I think he's talking about for the LNC or for your state parties
or whatever. Yeah.
Right. No. While I do think that certain things run their course, that is up to the voters to decide, and that they should not be bound by the if you have a good leader, you want that person in there to continue to lead. And if the people see that person as a good leader, they should can be able to continue to lead. I understand that many times you get a situation where somebody is a terrible leader, just a god awful leader, just an untrustworthy leader. And the person that is up against them might be part of a group that a lot of people don't like. So they end up voting for the terrible leader instead of the person that's part of a group that a lot of people don't like. And I understand that that happens in the Libertarian Party. Sometimes. I get it. I understand that this happens. But again, if you want somebody better to run, you need to find somebody better to run. There have been multiple times that I've thought that I knew who would be a great leader for the Libertarian Party. And that person or those people intelligently went, I don't want to do that. And I got it. I absolutely understood that. So I get it. Like, but no, I do think that the people should be able to choose whether or not they continue to vote somebody in. I don't think it should be term limited. I don't think people in Congress should be term limited.
Well, and here's
because
the thing.
Of this reason.
Yeah. So here's my thing with term limits for within the party. First of all, we've never had a chair that served 8 years.
I think 6 is the longest, isn't it?
6 is the longest. Nick Sarwark has the record for the longest serving. Most of them served 2 years. Some of them served 4 years. So having 2 4-year terms, they're already doing less than that. There may be some LNC members or some the other positions like executive director and the director positions, they're hired positions. They're paid by contract. I don't know that there's been a secretary that served, 8 years or anything like that.
I don't think so.
From that standpoint, that's not really needed. And like Matt said, pick someone better.
Pick somebody better.
I'm okay with term limits in Congress or for elected office because when they get in, now they can use the power of incumbency and things like that. But even then, I think it's better, instead of focusing on term limits, which incidentally, I mean, good luck getting that passed, because that requires constitutional amendments. You're basically asking the politicians who would suffer under no longer being able to just stay in office forever, voting whether or not they could just stay in office forever. So good luck, and like 2/3 of them would have to vote for it. So good luck on that.
Either that, or you would need 2/3 of the governors who. Because if you get isn't it 2/3 of the governors would have to vote on it?
Oh no!
And if they did,
3/5 of the state legislatures would have to vote on it. You're saying for a constitutional convention of states,
right?
Yeah, 3/5 of the 3/5 of state legislatures filled with people who eventually want to go to Congress.
Also fair.
Good luck, as opposed to looking at why they stay in office in the first place, and it ain't for the salary. It's for the ability to be able to take your money and give it away to the cronies who put them in office and enrich themselves long-term in the process. One of the few things that Donald Trump said that made me cry tears of joy was when he would talk about how, specific politicians who, when they went into office, they were middle class, and now they've been in office for, 20 years, and now they're worth $50 million. And it's like, look at what their salary is. That don't add up to being worth $50 million. What happened? Or $100 million or whatever it is. What happened? And he's right. That's why they stay in. So if we're able to chip away at the gravy train that they've built, I think that's more powerful than hoping that they vote to stop themselves from being able to stay in office and do that. And when it comes to if the question from Eric was specifically for the LP, for the LNC, no, it's not needed. It's not needed.
Now, many people in the comments, and I'm going to agree with these people, if there is one candidate that we could all vote on for no term limits, just lifetime appointment to whatever position this person wants,
Susan.
I think that we can all get behind Susan.
Yeah.
Good old Susan
Yep.
as that person. You
I
could have
agree.
Susan. Oh, no, Susan's over here. You
Yeah,
could
no,
have
not
Susan.
that guy.
No, not this guy. You don't want this guy. You don't want the guy over here. You want Susan
Yeah.
for the lifetime appointment to any position that she wants. Susan is the answer. Susan was the answer.
Yeah.
She also was the power.
I'm with Susan. Also, James Ogle. He might be a good one, too. James Ogle and his 538 party system is a decent runner-up. Decent runner-up. So here is the next. We only have 2 questions. So this one is from Noel, who is just being ramrodded by Facebook the past couple days. Here is his question.
What's up, y'all? The Cajun Libertarian here. Your favorite, absolute favorite, personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law anchor. Call him moment right now. Matt, you're an amazing human being, and I look up to you so much. You have no idea. You're incredible, super intelligent, and I love everything that you have to say. Thank you for being who you are. Spike, you are an absolutely incredible leader. And I look forward to learning from you more and more every day. You deserve every bit of spotlight that you have attained and will in the future. I'm super proud to follow and learn from both of y'all. Thank you so much. I had a show the other night talking about big tech taking orders from the federal government, straight from the White House, being pressured from the White House and the Biden administration. How can we at this point now consider them a private entity? Thank you so much. Love y'all both.
Okay, so this is a very personal question for Cajun because he has now been kicked off of Facebook like 8 times.
I don't know what they think he did, but my God, they went in elbow deep with no glove, just started twisting
all the way.
Just started twisting, opened the hand, did this number. There's some really, I don't know what they're doing.
So, for years, when I was kicked off of Facebook last year.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Man. Yep.
When I was kicked off of Facebook last year, we were still saying Facebook is a private company.
Yep.
And they have a right to do this. Mm-hmm. I wasn't happy about it.
Yep.
But it's their platform. If they don't want me on it, fine. They don't have to have me on it. They didn't need to have that profile on it. But since then, with the fact that you've had Jen Psaki saying things like, we've given them a list of people that they might want to get rid of. And oddly enough, those people have been gotten rid of. That sort of takes away from them being a private company as opposed to an arm of the government. They technically are a private company. They are taking their lead from the government. This is actually a really tough question because yes, they still are a private company. Are they taking their marching orders from Biden and the Biden administration? Sounds like it. Seems like it. Mm-hmm. And if they are, I would consider them no longer a private company, but an arm of the administration. So if they actually are acting as an arm of the administration, I would say, no, they cannot actually kick you off.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You're and Matt's 100% correct. What it comes down to is it's a very simple thing that it comes down to. This is what corporatism looks like. So asking a question like, are they a private company? Sure. what does that actually mean? Like, to what extent does that actually change anything? Because, okay, are they a private company? Yeah, they are. They are a private company. Are they taking, or at least to the extent that they are a company that is formed as a for-profit that has shareholders and that has an owner and that the government doesn't directly run, is it a private company? Yeah. There is no, in a corporatist system, which incidentally, corporatism is the economic plank of fascism. So in a fascist corporatist system, which is what we have, in a corporatist system, there is no such thing as a fully private company. There's no such thing as fully private property. There is literally what the government allows you to have with whatever license or fee or tax that you are required to pay in order for them to allow you to have it, under the direction and regulation by which they allow you to own or operate whatever the thing is. So to whatever extent you are being taxed, regulated, banned, and so forth, you are that much less private, quote unquote. So it also is less of a conversation to have, because often when people say, well, it's not really a private company, ends up then becoming a conversation of, well, if it's not a private company, then that means they have to respect my rights because now they're a part of government. Well, here's the problem with that. Or what? Well, actually, not just or what, but who's going to tell them that? The government. Well, it's the government that's telling them to shit all over you. So what are we doing here? I think it's, rather than having the discussion about are they a private company or not, I think the discussion needs to be more about, why is the government involved in social media? Like, why, what does this have to do with the government? Let these companies decide what their terms and conditions and criteria are for who they allow on and what they allow to be said. And more than likely, they'll still have some restrictions. Although prior to the Atlantic Council, back in like 2014 and 2015, you had literal Nazis on Twitter just saying whatever the hell they wanted. And that wasn't good. I mean, Nazis aren't good, but what was good was knowing that Nazis are able to be there, tankies are able to be there, any extremism is able to be on there, which means that anyone can say whatever they want on there. I'd rather have that and just block every Nazi I come across and encourage everyone else to do the same than have what we have now, which is where you get knocked down and, either banned or shadow banned or, knocked down on the algorithm or punished in some other way or fact checked to oblivion for putting up stuff that usually ends up being proven correct later.
I was going to say, you're talking about our page right now, aren't you?
Yeah, literally. And so we just, so that I think needs to be the discussion more so than like, is it a private company? There is no such thing as a fully private company. Certainly not in the, the classical liberal or anarcho-capitalist or even radical minarchist sense, libertarian sense of what is private. Private means you own it. You can do what you want with it as long as you don't hurt anyone else. You own it fully. No one else claims anything over it. It can't be taken from you unjustly. We don't have that. There is no. I don't privately own this phone to that extent. The government has made me pay taxes on it. The government regulates how this can be used. And if at any point they decide that this is being used in the commission of a crime, they'll come and just take it from me, possibly without even a trial. Do I own this in any real way? Not really. Not if they can take it from me at any moment, if they decide to, and then I have to fight to have my right to get it back. So if I can't own this, and if you can't own your house or your car outright in any real way, then how the hell are you going to own a multi-billion-dollar company?
Right. And Dave Davis on YouTube says libertarian and conservatives are fact-checked, which is true. Yes, that happens a lot. There was that meme that was going around, that infograph that was going around about all the stuff that was left in Afghanistan, and they rated it partly false or mostly false because that was the count of everything that had been left there from the beginning of the war in Afghanistan. and they rated it partly false or mostly false because we didn't know how much of this stuff still worked. We don't know how many of the they called them assault weapons or assault rifles. But we don't know how many of the machine guns or the M16s or whatever still worked from the beginning of the time we were there. So we can't really say that that's the actual number. So that is the reason it was called partly or mostly false. Then you have Rolling Stone and the Rachel Maddow putting out things on ivermectin, calling it the horse dewormer, and putting out an article or putting out a piece about a doctor who was talking about beds being full with people on ivermectin overdoses. And it turned out that entire story was complete ivermectin shit. And nobody has fact checked that. I see it come up still, apple flavored ivermectin, like you see the picture, and you still no fact check underneath it, even though it has been proven to be demonstratively false.
Thoroughly debunked by the hospital.
Thoroughbredly.
Wow. Are we just we're going with that? So it's a I can't make that work. The hospital that this was supposedly happening at said, no, there's been no cases of anyone coming here with overdoses of ivermectin or needing treatment because of ivermectin. And also, there's been no one turned away who's dealing with gunshot wounds or whatever. Like it was and it was a satire. It looked like satire. When I first saw it, I'm like, this is satire. And then it turned out, no, it wasn't satire. It was just a cell phone. It's just article.
It was premiered on Rachel Maddow, and then Rolling Stone picked it up. And Rolling Stone.
And then they fact checked the pictures of how the Kabul landing wasn't like the Saigon landing, and they said, well, the helicopter landed in the courtyard instead of on the roof, because that was the part that mattered, right?
Yes, right, because that was the difference maker.
Not that 50 years removed from each other, you had a Chinook helicopter landing in an embassy to frantically remove people. That wasn't the part that was important. It was where it landed on the building. It's just incredible.
This was completely different. Completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Completely different. So this is all. Incidentally, ivermectin. I'd like to just put out a disclaimer. I don't know, and I don't think Matt claims to know whether or not this works for COVID or not.
No clue.
I don't know. I have no clue.
I just know that the story, I believe it's the Sequoia Hospital, I believe is what it is. I'm not even 100% sure on that.
Yeah.
But I just know that the story about the hospital being filled up with people that were overdosing on ivermectin and people with serious injuries or diseases couldn't come in because of this was crap.
Was total
That's
lie.
What I know.
0% true. Also, this entire propaganda thing of referring to ivermectin as horse dewormer, ivermectin is used as an anti-parasitic for humans in multiple applications. In fact, the people who first discovered it got a Nobel Prize for Medicine in 2015 for discovering and implementing it as a drug for humans. It is saving the lives of countless Americans, countless people across the planet for various parasites. Does it work for COVID? I have no idea. I don't know. But in the same way that, remember with hydroxychloroquine, which again, I don't know if that works for COVID either. They kept referring to it as fish tank cleaner because that could also be used as a chloroquine could be used as fish tank cleaner. No, hydroxychloroquine is used for lupus and malaria and a ton of other diseases as well. And ivermectin works as a anti-parasitic. And yes, there is a version of ivermectin that's used for horses. It's sold for horses. There's also human ivermectin, and there have been doctors that have been using ivermectin with their patients, and they're claiming that it works for COVID. I don't know if it does. Okay, you'll have to ask them.
Don't know.
Have to look at the studies on that. Hopefully
not a doctor.
Yeah, not a doctor, don't
But-
know, haven't looked at any of the retrospective work, don't have an opinion.
Much like with the hydroxychloroquine, you had that woman that said I took fish cleaner because Donald Trump told me to, and gave it to my husband, and her husband died, and then it turned out that she murdered him and blamed it on the president. And you are going to see this with ivermectin. Like, I would almost guarantee you're going to see a death from ivermectin, and the woman is going to say, no, it's because I read about it on the internet from insert somebody who was pushing it that's on the right. And it's going to turn out to be another murder.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to turn out to be another murder, and that's, yeah.
It's going to be
but
a murder.
No one will remember that part. They'll remember the
person that died from it.
Yeah.
A good old-fashioned murder.
Yeah, and someone who says, oh, well, Candace Owens said, I don't know if Candace Owens has said it, but whatever right-wing commentator said that ivermectin worked, and that's why they did it. And everyone's like, oh, that person's terrible. And it turns out, no, that was a murder. They murdered them with her.
Larry Elder.
Yeah, Larry Elder.
Larry Elder, who next week has the recall election.
Yeah, Larry Elder.
Next Tuesday. Yeah, Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan came down with COVID. He said he took the ivermectin series, and 3 days later, he didn't have COVID anymore. I don't know if that's true. I'm not saying that Joe Rogan's a liar. I'm just saying Joe Rogan tested positive for COVID. He said that he took the ivermectin treatment. 3 days later, he tested negative. Could be true. I don't know. I'm not going to say either way because I don't know Joe. Not yet.
Yeah. I haven't met him. He voted for me, but I haven't met him. Joe also got monoclonal antibodies, which it's interesting that I was waiting for them to blast people for suggesting that, but it seems like they've embraced that they've said, yeah, that does work and that's safe or whatever. But I was waiting for them to be like, no, monoclonal antibodies are bad. You got to just get the shot and put on a mask and stay away from everyone and stay inside, not go to school. I was surprised by that. I'm gonna assume that there's a big pharma company that's making a lot of money on monoclonal antibodies. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a mess. So now we get to talk about something a little less controversial than ivermectin and social media. Oh, by the way, Arizona, I am Arizona in the comments said, is there a way to fight back against this without empowering the state? And I think the answer is pretty intuitive. We need to demonstrate the fact that it's the state doing this. Social media minus the state is everything we came to love about social media. Social media plus the state is this, increasing nightmare scenario where we're fact-checked for telling things that are true, that they don't like and aren't convenient to their narrative, and we get, banned for no reason. Like, that's all because of government. So this is just another example to go around and say, look, here's another example of government sucking at everything they do. And yes, if Susan were wearing a mask, she was more than 6 feet. She was well within 6 feet of that guy.
She was not social distancing and not wearing a mask. And had she been wearing a mask, she totally would have been protected because obviously it was the COVID and not the 20 bullets right into the middle of her face that got Susan.
Yeah, no, she died. They tested her and she had COVID, so they called it a COVID death.
Right, it was a COVID death.
It was a COVID death. COVID shot her in the face, Wes. Anyway,
I'm going to call Joe COVID from now on.
What's that?
I'm going to call Joe COVID from now on.
COVID. Hey, COVID, how you doing? So speaking of Susan, is 50 still our top bid for the
50
Susan?
is still the top bid for Susan.
If you want the Susan target that has been murdered and also signed by me and Matt, then right now the top bid is $50. If you beat that bid, then it's yours, and you can hang that over your bed so you can wake up every day and go, what the hell is that? Oh yeah, I bought that thing that time when I was watching that show. So we're going to talk about something. We've been talking about some pretty controversial stuff. Afghanistan, the Ahmaud Arbery case, the FDA, vaping, social media, censorship, ivermectin. It's all very, COVID. These are all very controversial things. So we're going to talk about something a little bit less controversial. Abortion.
Yes. So last Wednesday, the Supreme Court did not do, first and foremost, very important that you get this out of the way. They did not overrule Roe versus Wade, or did they make a decision on the scope of abortion nationwide.
Yeah.
Abortion is still legal nationwide. Depending on which state you're in, will depend on different factors of that. That has not changed. Oh, good. A feel-good topic, finally. Matt Ferrero.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
What they did do was they refused to place an injunction on Texas's new abortion law.
Yes.
Now, we all know about the Texas law at this point. I'm pretty certain we have a very intelligent audience. Oddly enough, just real quick, we have a very intelligent audience, but quite possibly the greatest concentration per capita is in Slovenia, where we are the number 2 political podcast in Slovenia. Killing it.
In Slovenia.
We are in the top 100 in all podcasts in Slovenia. So America, get your shit together.
Yeah, exactly.
You are getting trounced by Slovenia.
Okay, make America Slovenia again.
So a few things about this law. It bans nearly all abortions that take place later than 6 weeks past the point of conception. The Governor Greg Abbott is calling it the fetal heartbeat bill. Now, what it does is it lets most private citizens file lawsuits against providers of abortions if they think the provider broke the law. Meaning, if they think that a provider broke the law in giving somebody an abortion after 6 weeks, they can sue. Now, you might be thinking, so this is in order, like if the father doesn't agree with the abortion, he can sue the abortion clinic.
Right.
I understand your logic in that thought process. However, no, if you live in Texas and you think that the abortion provider did this, you can sue the abortion provider, even if you don't know anybody involved in that transaction. Mm-hmm. You can just sue. Biden said it deputizes private citizens to bring lawsuits against anyone who they believe has helped another person get an abortion, even strangers with no connection to the individual. And that was actually the most accurate sentence that Joe Biden has said in the last 30, 40 years.
Probably. Yeah. No, that's 100% correct. And it's not just abortion providers. It's anyone. It's if you got an Uber to go get your abortion, or if someone thinks that you got an Uber to get your abortion, or if someone thinks that you asked someone to help put up a couple bones to help pay for it. Like, and it's anyone who thinks that you may have, or is willing to say that they think that you may have in court.
Yep.
So it's...
Yep.
Yeah.
So what the law does not do, and it's interesting, the law does not give state officials the power to enforce the law.
No.
There is nothing in that law that allows the police, the sheriffs, the state, any sort of policing entity in the state of Texas cannot enforce this law. It is 100% on the private citizen who wants to sue Planned Parenthood or any other organization that provides these things, and to anybody who gives them a ride, apparently.
Anything. Yeah, anything.
Anything right, they can just...
That private citizen decides is in some way providing material support to you in getting your abortion. Or just wants to take someone to court and give them a hard time for something.
Right.
Yes.
So because of the way that this law is written, the 5-4 Supreme Court decision, which I'm certain you guys can guess where that 5-4 laid, sat, deemed that injunctions are usually directed towards specific people or entities who enforce laws, which is true. Since no government official has authority to enforce this law, and there's no way to know who plans to enforce the law using the civil suit, they did not see a reason for an injunction. So now they've cultivated a situation where if no one is willing to enforce it, an injunction would be unnecessary and only forbid something no one was going to do. But if they had used a general injunction, meaning that nobody could do this, it could be valuable from keeping other states from violating the Constitution in the future using the same method that Texas is using on abortion. So let's say that instead of banning something like abortions, a state decides to mandate vaccines with no exceptions.
Yep.
But the police aren't going to be the ones who are enforcing it. Instead, they're going to let every Haley, Kaylee, Maylee, Becky, Karen, Susan, Gertrude, Kevin, Kyle, Todd, or Tommy to sue you for not getting the Fauci ouchie.
Or not just sue you, sue anyone who they believe is responsible for providing you with material support in not getting the vaccine.
That would be employers. That would be significant others. That would be parents, whoever.
Your doctor. That would be your doctor. That would be
doctor, right?
Yeah, be
anyone.
Be a lot of people.
Right. It wouldn't be your Uber driver who didn't drive you, who didn't forcibly drive you to get your Fauci ouchie.
It'd be your Uber driver who took you to McDonald's instead of
to get your. Now, there's no evidence that anybody would actually sue you for something like this or would file a lawsuit of this kind. So this precedent would make a lasting impact.
Yeah.
If you think about a state like.
Go ahead.
If you think about a state like New York or Illinois, and they were like, hey, we're going to ban handguns. We're going to ban all handguns. Yeah. But if somebody suspects you of having a handgun, they could sue you at like $10,000 a day that you own this weapon. Where's the difference in these two logic trains?
And the government doesn't show up to enforce the law. They just show up to enforce the lawsuit. Now it's civil, like civil asset forfeiture, where they steal your property. And they don't need to prove it in court because it's not a criminal thing. It's civil. You're being sued by the government. Right. Incidentally, you may be thinking, well, this just says you can sue, but that's not, that just empowers people to sue. What's the problem here? This law incentivizes it by giving them $10,000 if their lawsuit turns out correct. So anyone who's watching this, who here has been involved in sales or marketing? So then if anyone's been in sales or marketing or just has common sense, the more people you try to reach out to, the more likely you are to get money because someone's bound to say yes. Well, applying that to this, if you just sue everybody, someone's bound to be guilty of this thing that you're suing them for. So if the government now shifts to making laws like this, where instead of them enforcing it, they rely on all your busybody neighbors or you to enforce it by incentivizing you with $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million, whatever, to sue everybody on the hope that one of them will be guilty and you'll get your payday. Now all of a sudden, this creation of this culture they're trying to create of a bunch of hall monitors and petty tyrants makes sense. because now they get to say, well, it's not us enforcing it. It's you, the people, that are enforcing it. That's now all this see something, say something nonsense starts to make sense. It's kind of smart what they're doing.
It is. It's brilliant what they're doing.
It's brilliant in a terrible way.
In a awful, awful way.
Yeah, they are literally figuring out how to tell you, you too can be a part of the police to prison complex. And you too can, in the same way that,
but you wouldn't even be part of the police to prison you wouldn't be police to prison. You would be profiting off of selling people out. Like,
right.
These people aren't going to go to jail. They're just going to be financially strapped for life.
Right. And well, but here's the thing. Depending on how the rules are written, well, once you reach a certain point of owing the government money, if you're unable to pay, now you go to jail.
But this isn't the government that you're you're paying. It's somebody, it's random citizen.
Right. And that's exactly. But what happens? Failure to pay. Eventually, you can go to jail. Failure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There are people that are in jail right now because they don't pay their child support, or they can't pay their child support, or they were accused.
Because putting them in jail makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. This is really,
where they can definitely not pay their child support.
Where they can definitely pay you back there, right? And now it's the Department of Corrections paying you. So in the same way that right now, police and prosecutors and judges are incentivized to find as many people guilty and throw as many people in jail as possible by putting a money incentive behind it. Now they're cutting out the middleman. They just make you do it. And now you have a financial incentive. And now everyone is just constantly dry snitching on each other for money. Yeah.
And so, if you think about it, I don't care how you feel about abortion. I don't. I'm not going to try to change your mind. It's not going to be possible. It doesn't matter how I feel about it. It doesn't matter how Spike feels about it. It doesn't matter how anybody feels about abortion. The issue with this scenario is now the enforcement aspect of this bill is what the court has missed completely on. The 5 justices, which you guys can guess who they are, and you would probably be right. The 5 justices who said, no, we're not going to do an injunction here, have left an opening for states to go after the Constitution. They could go after free speech. They could go after Citizens United. They could go after the Second Amendment. They could basically wipe the entire thing off the map because nothing is being enforced by the government. It's all going to be enforced by private citizens. And the door for them to destroy the Constitution has now been opened to a Texas-sized hole.
The door to destroy the Constitution is you. and everyone.
So
I am Arizona in the comments said you are the abuse of power, and that's
right.
Oh, incidentally, Adam Weggs, who made a $5 super chat donation, thank you, Adam, said devil's advocate put a penalty on filing frivolous lawsuits. Here's the problem with that.
This wouldn't be a frivolous lawsuit.
It wouldn't be a frivolous lawsuit because it's empowered by the law.
It's
They're
empowered by the law.
encouraging you to do it.
Right.
Like they want you to.
So now somebody else in the comments said I would prefer this as opposed to the police knocking on doors and arresting people. And I would agree with that if everybody got real cool about a whole lot of stuff real quickly.
Yeah.
Because we're going to need that. I'd be fine with this if everybody was just leave your neighbor alone and I don't care what you do. Totally cool. Totally fine with it.
Yeah.
But unless people get real cool about a lot of stuff, I am not a fan of that idea.
Yeah. No, this becomes sue your neighbor because they smoked weed or took drug, whatever drug, or
right. They took unprescribed Adderall because they needed to concentrate on a project and they have a friend who takes it.
Yep. No, this is bad. This is really
bad. This is
bad. Even if this was reserved for, crimes with victims, I'd still be a little concerned with how it's laid out. You know, you're when you put a financial incentive with no disincentive for abusing it, I can just snitch on all of you. I can snitch on everyone I know for everything. And at some point, I'm going to get some money. You know, if I snitch like 5, by the way, and I was wrong. Dry snitching, I used the term wrong. Dry snitching is when you inadvertently or accidentally snitch on someone. This is like wet snitching because you're just snitching and you mean to. I could snitch on like thousands of people a day or you know, a week. Every week I snitch on like hundreds of people
birdshot snitching.
Birdshot snitching. Yeah. Dragnet snitching. I'm bound to be right like 10 times. That's $100,000. This is bad.
This is so bad.
And people settling. Oh, how about the people that go, you know what? God, leave me alone. I'll just give you $2,000. Now they're settling out of court. Oh, this is bad.
This is bad. Wow. This is unbelievably bad. Everything about this is bad. And again, like the abortion thing, I don't care how you feel about it. I really don't. I'm not going to change your mind. You're not going to change my mind. Nothing there matters. What has happened? What has happened? Lottery snitching, yeah. What has happened with the Supreme Court is they have just opened a floodgate to destroy anything across the country, and there's nothing anybody can do about it because it's all going to be civilly handled through lawsuits. Yeah, Midwest guys just dollar signs. Yeah, it's just money. It is money, and the government's just going to tax the hell out of it.
Oh, of course, yeah, they're going to get at least 30% of the money back. Midwest guy also said, you know, you could write a Facebook bot that finds people talking about marijuana and then snitch on them. Like this is bad. John Morrissey from Defy the Power says, so could you, through the court, potentially have a woman inspected as evidence in case she claims miscarriage during a civil suit? Then the father could file this motion if he was against the abortion or sore about getting dumped, or, you know, doesn't believe her. I'm adding this, doesn't believe that she had a miscarriage. This is bad. And another person said, where was it?
How many teachers are going to snitch on their students' parents when they take them to get an abortion? So like when your 15-year-old daughter gets pregnant, you're like, well, I don't want it to ruin her life, so let's take her to get an abortion. And teachers are like, well, that's $10,000.
Yeah.
And I can get $10,000.
Wes Erickson, our commenters are getting this immediately. So Wes Erickson, the government taxes you into the poorhouse so that the only way you survive is to sue your neighbors into oblivion. Not just taxing you into the poorhouse, but letting you get sued into the poorhouse. So now you got to sue other people too to get your money. This is bad.
Yeah, like this is just cultivating a society of snitches who are just constantly going, like, your job in the future is going to be going out and suing people for laws they are breaking. This
to offset all the suing that all the lawsuits you're having to deal with. Wow.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yes, they're very much like red flag laws, except somebody said in the comments earlier, and I don't remember who, but it was a great line. Instead of your dog dying, it's your bank account.
Yeah, the ATF comes and shoots your bank account. This is and they're going to do this with everything. This is bad.
With everything. Now that the precedent has been set, every state can do this for anything they want to get rid of.
Yeah. There's going to have to be a change on this. The court is going to have to come back and say, no, okay. All right. It doesn't matter if there was a direct government criminal enforcement of this, because they're using the government system. It's not like, oh, the government's not involved. They're just letting people. First of all, they're incentivizing it with money, and second of all, the private citizens are using the court system. It's not like I come into your house and go, I declare a lawsuit. Give me $10,000. It's, I am going to take you to the government court using the court protocols that the government has created in order to try to get the $10,000 from the government, from the law that the government created. This is like the Facebook thing, you know. Oh, it's a private company. No, it's not. It's or at least it's not a private action. It's a coerced government action. This is a guided, coerced, and subsidized government action. It's an incentivized action by government. And if the Supreme Court leaves this loophole open, government will just do everything this way from now on.
Everything.
You will have no rights.
Which essentially defunds the police. Because they won't be necessary, because everything will be handled in civil court.
To the extent that they won't be the initial catalyst for enforcement. But someone's got to round up all these freaking settlement absconders.
Fair.
All these people, you know, all these deadbeat. What are they going to call them? Like you have to think of like the 1984 speak, the new speak they're going to have to use for this. You know, what would it be? Settlement fugitive or whatever. Like, you know, whatever it is, it's literally going to be people who can't afford all the lawsuits because we're just caught focusing on the settlement. What about having to get an attorney every damn time? What do you think
every
the malpractice,
time.
just for this abortion thing, what do you think the malpractice insurance is going to look like in Texas because of this? Like, this is bad.
This is bad. Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, might switch professions.
Oh, to be a snitch lawyer?
A snitch lawyer.
The personal injury attorney, wet snitching attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor snitching moment. Oh, man.
We would just cut out the personal injury attorney and just be like, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law.
The Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor snitching moment.
The snitch festathon.
This is bad. So,
this is bad.
I think we've established this is bad. We're going to have to come up with a call to action on how to deal with this because this is terrible.
This is awful.
But we want to end the show on a good note. On two good notes. One, we're gonna say who has won Susan, but then we're also going to say, so Matt, today is a very special day, and
today is.
And if I may, can I be the one to say it?
Sure.
Because I also want to say how proud I am of you, and how incredible I think it is. Today is the 7-year anniversary of you being clean from drugs and alcohol. And that is, as someone who also has been clean from drugs and alcohol for quite some time now, I know what that's like, and I know what those especially that first year, what that can be like. And I've known you for, I believe, 5 years now? 4 or 5 years?
5 years now.
Yeah, 5 years now.
5 years.
And
real quick, the reason that I know Spike and I were friends on Facebook, but we didn't know each other. The reason I know Spike is because I was having a crisis of sobriety one night, and Spike reached out to me to check on me to make sure I was okay. And we ended up talking for like an hour or two, just about everything. And that was how we got to know each other. Yeah.
That was our real first time talking together. Yeah. That was like 5 years ago, and you're 5 years in. Matt, you're my one of, if not my best friend, and you are one of the dearest people in my life, and you are my partner in all of this. And I am so grateful that you are here, that you are clean, and I am so proud of you that you've been able to do this. And I'm so proud that we've been able to encourage others who are in their sobriety journey to stay strong in it, and to encourage those who are considering getting into a sobriety journey to at least try it. And on this 7 years, I just want to say I love you. I couldn't be more proud of you. And here's to many, many more years of happiness and sobriety and continued growth of Muddied Waters. There's an organization you've discovered that you want to talk about, who is helping others who are going through this as well.
So real quick, 7 years ago, my life was a lot different. I also looked a lot different than I do now. My face was a lot rounder and redder. My face looked like Spike's coloring, but like much rounder, just constantly. And that wasn't because I spent any time in the sun.
Right. That wasn't because he spent 2 days in a row out in the beautiful Florida sun at the beach during the Spike Cohen Florida tour that just commenced.
But I was I was at a point in my life where I was very lost. I had been at that point for years, and I don't really know if there's a single thing that kind of made me realize it, but I had a couple of people talking to me saying, I'm worried about you. You might want to think about stopping. And I didn't want to, because why would I want to? But I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know who I was if I wasn't drinking or doing other things. And I ended up trying to figure out who I was whilst I was under the influence of, whether it's drugs or alcohol or anything else. I was consistently looking for that next high, for that next buzz, constantly just searching for it. And when I woke up on September 7th, 7 years ago, I didn't know I was going to be quitting drinking that day. And I actually went out and I got a drink, and I got pissed off at the bar that I was at. And I went home, and it was 2:00 in the afternoon. I went home and I just thought to myself, you know what? I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to do it. And I didn't think of it like I was done. I said that I was going to take some time off of drinking, and then reevaluate later.
Right.
The next month and a half, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, were the worst couple of months of my life. And I got the DTs. I was throwing up. I didn't sleep. And it was awful. It was absolutely awful. And I did this entire thing, as they call in recovery, by white knuckling it. Just you're gripping on, and you are just driving ahead, and you are just hoping to God everything works out. And while I was able to do this, I do not recommend it for anybody.
Yeah.
And I saw Sheila Foster's. She said that she threw away her alcohol this morning, which she actually messaged me that earlier. And what I've said to Sheila, and I will say to anybody, if anybody out there wants somebody to talk to, you can always message Muddied Waters. We may not get back to you right away, and I apologize for that, but you can message Muddied Waters, or if you are friends with me on Facebook, you can message me directly, and I will respond and I will talk to you 100%.
And if you're friends with me on Facebook, same thing. I will.
Right. But there is something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to find a privately funded addiction help center. And I found the American Addiction Center, which is privately funded. They don't take any federal money whatsoever, and they help with Americans who are struggling with addiction. If you are struggling with addiction, you can call them to talk at, do you have the graphic?
Yes, right here.
Cool.
Where did it? Oh, I put it in the wrong. Yeah, it's right here. The American Addiction Centers. Yeah.
Yep. You can call them at 866-959-1369. And they will discuss your treatment options with you, give you advice or help. I talked with a couple of different people today from there. Everybody was very friendly. They were very helpful. All of them wanted to know if I was struggling. And then I explained to them my situation and what I wanted to do. And all of them were very helpful. They have multiple locations across the country, as you can see here. And if you want treatment and decide to use one of their facilities, they will arrange for travel to one of their centers where you will be given the best care as you give yourself a chance to heal. Now, this is covered. They have partnerships with some of the largest health insurance companies out there. So it is covered by insurance for a large part of it. And part of the reason that they're going through insurance and that they're doing they take private money is because they don't want the federal government involved as much in how they run things. And I respect the hell out of that. I know people who have used American Addiction Centers. I know people who have gone out of there and after 90 days or 30 days or whatever have come out and they have never looked back. Absolutely never looked back. I don't know of anybody who has come out of there and has looked back, but I'm certain it happens because relapse is a part of addiction and I don't fault anybody for it. No. You can take that down. Again, 866-959-1369 for anybody who is looking for help. If you are out there looking for help, this is an organization that does a lot of good. And I absolutely 100% support their mission and the things that they do. And again, I am an anomaly. Spike is an anomaly. Both of us, you quit without treatment, correct? I'm correct in thinking that.
I also, we are two unicorns. Like usually people need at least some help, if only just like mental health treatment or something during the worst of it. People typically need help to get clean, and that's okay.
And for anybody out there, there's somebody who might be watching this show right now. I don't know if they are or not, but I have been talking with this person over the last 2.5 months, and they have been doing a fantastic job. They've been doing a fantastic job, and I'm so proud of them. And every day that I get an update about how they are doing, I am very happy to hear that they are still doing well. One of the things that I learned, which was the hardest thing that I learned about all of this, when you start drinking or using or whatever, your emotional growth stops. This was the hardest thing for me to deal with because when I stopped using 7 years ago, I reverted back to being 18 years old, which you're looking at me going, so you only used for a year. And I'm like, no, it was longer than a year that I was doing things. So I reverted back quite a ways. And it was a very difficult emotional journey that I had to go on. And that would have been the time for me to try to use somebody, to try to seek out this help sorry, got lost there. I should have used somebody to seek out this help in order to help me with that portion, to help me get back to the emotional point where I should have been at that age. And I didn't, and that cost me a lot because I did not emotionally know how to deal with things and how to handle things. And I would say that I am still not emotionally where I'm supposed to be at my age, but I'm okay with where I'm at right now because it seems to work for me. If you are out there and you want help, please reach out to these people. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Spike. You can reach out to Muddied Waters. Any of us will be more than happy to talk to you. But you are definitely not alone. One of the greatest things that I had was a very strong base of people who were there to support me throughout all of this. Here's a story for you. I've got this buddy named Dylan, I'll say his full name. His name is Dylan Ammerman. He and I were friends in Nashville, and we used to drink a lot together, and we used to do some other things as well that I'm not going to talk about on this show. But we did a lot of things together, a lot. It was, if we were together, you knew things were happening, whether legal, illegal, whatever. Things were happening, and we were not in the right state of mind. I was going through roughly about the same time that I got to know Spike. I went through a lot of crisis of sobrieties during this time period. And I was looking for somebody to give me my out, to say, yes, go have a drink. I know that life is terrible for you right now. Go have a drink, go get your mind off of it. And so I called him. I said, hey, I need your permission. And I told him everything that was going on in my life at the time. And I said, and I want to go out and drink. And if you say it's okay, I'm going to go do that right now. And he, the wonderful little leprechaun that he is, said, man, I would love to say yes. And I would love to sit down and have a beer with you again at some point in the future, but you can't break sobriety for what is going on in your life right now.
Right. Yeah.
And it was one of the greatest things anybody has ever done for me, because he could have I have not seen Dylan since well before that conversation happened. He could have easily said yes. It wouldn't have, literally no skin off of his back. Would not have made a difference. But instead he said, no, don't do that. I care too much about you to see you throw it away for this. And because of that, I am still here today doing this show with a job that I love and adore, and a wonderful and beautiful and fantastic girlfriend, and a wonderful family, and everything is working the way that I always sort of planned for it to work. Had he said, yeah, go out and have that drink, I don't know if any of this would be here. I don't know if I would be here. I don't know if any of this would have been working.
Certainly not the way that it is, because I can imagine trying to do this while still being on drugs and alcohol and everything else. There wouldn't have been an effective way to do it. Yeah.
No, absolutely not. So again, if you need help, know that it is out there. Larry Whitehead said, don't feel like the Lone Ranger when you're out there. Yeah, don't feel like you are not alone.
Yep.
There are people out there who care about you, who love you, and they want to see you succeed in these journeys. And we are of those people. So know that at the barest of minimums, if you want to reach out to Muddied Waters of Freedom, Muddied Waters Media, in order to talk about that, we will talk to you about it. We will absolutely talk to you about it. And if you don't feel comfortable talking to us about it, call the American Addiction Center. I know of a couple other private groups or private people who help with addiction counseling. And if you want their information, I'll be more than happy to give it to anybody. And more than happy, because if you are seeking help, there is help out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you aren't seeking help because you don't think you have a problem, then good on you. I hope you're right. And I can't wait to see you in the future. But if you are questioning it, if you are even wondering, feel free to reach out to any of the sources that we have provided.
Yeah. Yeah. Including us. Yeah. No, it's interesting. As libertarians, we believe that you should be able to do whatever you want with your body, right? You should, any drug, as much as you want, you should be able to do anything. But there's a question of, is it a good idea? If you are able to recreationally enjoy things, then it might be a good idea. I will say, as someone because someone said to me, what do you think is the cutoff? The difference between when it's okay to get high or drunk or whatever, and when it's not. And I say, honestly, unless it's for a medicinal reason, like taking cannabis for medicinal reasons, or taking an entheogen for a psychedelic for treatment purposes or something like that. As someone who used to do a lot of drugs and is now sober, I'm not sure that I ever think there's a good reason to get intoxicated. I think there are better ways to have fun, but that's my personal opinion. But if you're able to do it in a recreational way and where you're having fun and it doesn't take over your life and cause harm to your life, then I think you should be able to do it. Honestly, even if it's causing harm, you should be able to do it. But if it is causing harm, if there's even a question as to whether it's causing harm, it's worth trying to be clean. A lot of people have reached out to me and said, is this, they'll describe their situation and say, does that sound like addiction? And I'll say, it usually when they describe it, I'll be like, it does, but let's say it isn't. Let's say it's just on the cusp. Why don't you try being clean for a couple weeks and have a plan, and don't just go in and try to raw dog your way through it, because it's not something I'd recommend, especially for most people. But try it and see, try for a couple weeks, couple months, whatever. Are you happier? Are things going better? Are you feeling like you have more control over your life? Then yeah, maybe it's a good idea to do, or at least to cut back on what you're doing. So, anyone who's even considering it, it's worth a shot. And any of the resources we've given, by the way, I put the link in the comments to Addiction Centers, AmericanAddictionCenters.org. And again, we're here for support as well. They're obviously professionals and we're not. So
right. And I just want to say one thing, kind of in response to what Spike said. If you have ever questioned whether or not you are dealing with an addiction because you drink every day, or if you smoke weed every day, or you whatever it is, if you have ever thought, man, I don't know, I might be addicted, it would probably be a good idea to talk to somebody. Yeah. Because if you are at the point where you are questioning it, other people have already decided. And I'm not saying you should do things because other people are thinking it, but if you have questioned it, that means that you probably are subconsciously trying to tell yourself that you have an issue.
Potentially.
Potentially seek the help that you can get. And if you don't have an issue, this isn't for you. And I'm not trying to preach to anybody that doesn't have an issue.
Absolutely.
Not even a little bit. I just want people to be able to find the help that they can, because it is important to continue living, to seek out this help and heal yourself. And a lot of that comes from healing on the inside. And that takes a lot of time after spending a lot of time numbing everything in there.
Yeah, it can take a very, very, very long time doing that. So, reach out if you want to try being sober. You can reach out to us. You can reach out to addiction centers. And we just, like I said, I love what being sober has been able to do in my life. I love what it's been able to do in Matt's life. I love what it's been able to do in so many other people's lives. Drew Cook, the man who is starting the Libertarian who runs the Libertarian Party Sober Caucus. I love what he's doing.
I'm gonna have to go join that caucus.
Yeah. No, it's a great caucus. Andrea O'Donnell, in the comments, she talked about, I guess she has a group called Sober Libertarians on Facebook. And I love what she's doing. So I mean, there's just a lot of people that are
so Andrea O'Donnell says, don't stop daily use of alcohol without help, which I did, and I don't recommend it to another person anywhere. That was, I don't know if hell exists. But if it does, I imagine it's very similar to what that was like.
What that was like, yeah. I alcohol wasn't tough for me because I didn't really drink much of it. Weed was actually the toughest one for me. Even the hard stuff wasn't as tough as weed. I did the hard stuff first, but weed was my big thing. That was tough, man. Which is why now it's like, it's funny because I have doctors who are like, yeah, some of your MS symptoms would be better if you used cannabis. I'm like, I bet they would. But I also know that was my personal gateway. I know it's not a gateway drug. I shouldn't say that. That was the first thing I tried, and I tried it very heavily. And then once I was high on that, I'm like, yeah, I might as well try everything else too. That was my own personal thing. So it's unfortunately something I can't do I don't do a lot of things in moderation, put it that way.
Right.
For example, a couple of years ago, I was like, I might get into politics, and now look. So it's kind of, this is how I am with stuff. Other great news. So again, congratulations to you, Matt. I love you, man. Here's to
I love you.
700 more years of sobriety for you. 7,000 years. So other great news. As you know, I was in the this past weekend. I was at the Spike Cohen Florida tour in Miami and Fort Lauderdale. I
like how that sound effect has gotten worse over the course of this episode. Sorry, I like.
All been a pack of lies. Ba-bum, 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 bum, bum. It's supposed to sound like the end of the Miami Vice theme, but it doesn't. It doesn't. But the good news is that my archery is apparently better than my theme song replication. So we did a shooting competition between me and Martha Bueno, which I won. We shot guns, and we also shot bows and arrows. Now the guns, I'm a decent shot with a gun. I'm not an operator. I'm not a Navy SEAL, Force Recon. That's not me. I'm fairly proficient with guns. But apparently, and I didn't know this because I'd never fired a bow and arrow before in my life, apparently I am a natural archer. And so what you're about to see is the second arrow that I've ever fired in my I don't even know how to say it. I've ever flung, shot, arrowed, whatever.
You shoot an arrow.
I shoot an arrow? Okay, sure. Here is the second one. It was minutes after the first one. Here is the second, because the first one hit the target, and everyone's like, you hit the target with your first arrow ever? So then they recorded the second one, and here's what happened. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, his form's terrible. Look, his shoulder's not right, and his elbow isn't.
His elbow's way too low.
His elbow is way too low. Yeah, you might want to save that.
And I got it on film.
No idea what I'm doing. Did you guys?
I did. Look at that.
Watch.
Look at that.
It's gonna zoom in. Okay. Yeah. Perfect bullseye. Perfect bullseye. It was in the center of the center. The center bullseye is like this big, and it was directly in the center of it. And then I proceeded. Let me pull up that picture. Oh crap! It's on my phone. Oh, you know what? I think it's in Google. It would be in Google Photos, right? Because it's on my phone.
I have no idea how that works.
Yeah, I don't either. Let me see. Yep, it sure is. Hold on. Just give me a second. Then I proceeded to hit one bullseye. Well, let me rephrase that. I proceeded to every single arrow I shot, fired, shot, slung, arrowed,
released,
shot, released. Every arrow I released. I like that. Every arrow that I released. Where is it? Yeah, it's there. Oh, okay. Every single arrow I released immediately. Where the hell is the thing? Oh. Every single arrow that I released hit the target including that first one, which that's my face, let me just get, like, this is going to get really uncomfortably close. Look at that. Directly in the damn thing. So we now know a few things about me. We know that I am a World Series level pitcher. We know that I am, as attested to by Dwight Gooden.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's literally. I guarantee you, that's what I heard.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, that's what you heard.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
Weird.
I heard those words in some combination,
in some order that. With other words possibly in between them.
With other words possibly in between. But not only that, and not only am I obviously apparently good at politics, because I'm, VP candidate, but also I am an archer now.
That's right. You are the Gina Davis of the Libertarian Party.
Yes, in more ways than one. Yes. So I am in every imaginable way, I am the Gina Davis of the Libertarian Party, which is sure. So you're probably thinking, but Spike, there's no possible way that you could be as good at, eating crabs as you are at archery. Well, you can find out very soon, my friend, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But again, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of The Muddy Waters of Freedom. Tomorrow night, on My Fellow Americans, on my show, my guest will be Corey DeAngelis, who is the homeschooling and school choice advocate. He is regularly featured on Fox News and Newsmax and everywhere. He's on everything. And he's going to come on to talk about the school choice movement, the homeschool movement, his one-man war against the teachers' unions, and how he's continuing to just completely destroy them, and what's next for that, for our goals as libertarians with that. Later in the next few days, I'll actually be releasing in our Anchor. If you listen to our podcast, I'll be releasing the 3 panels that I did in Freedom Fest. One of them was with Corey. We talked about the failures of police socialism, but he's a really cool guy. So that's my guest on Wednesday, and then you have the Writer's Block on Thursday. Who's your guest there?
I do. On Thursday at 8:00 Eastern for the Writer's Block, I have Magnus Panvidya on, and I love that guy. I cannot wait to have this guy on. And we are going to be talking about his In the Damn Wars campaign that's taken place this weekend on September 11th in John Marshall Park in Washington, D.C. And he is going... Yeah, starting at noon. And he is going to be leading this peace march, looking to bring together all anti-war voices from across the political spectrum to demand the end to U.S. imperialism across the globe. And he is a stand-up dude who is also hilarious. So I'm very excited to have him on. He is so funny.
He's a really, really cool guy. I finally got to meet him in person in Michigan. He's just as cool in person as he is online. He's a cool guy. So I'm really excited for you to have him on. And then on Friday, we have an episode of Cajun and Eskimo from Bayou to Igloos at, what is that, at 9:30?
9:30.
9:30 Eastern. Then on Saturday, there's 2 things happening. In Easton, Maryland, starting at... Doesn't say. Hold on. In Easton, Maryland, starting at... Starting at noon, I will be at the Libertarian Party of Maryland Crab and Chicken Fest, where we're going to be eating crab and chicken. Well, I'll be eating crab because I can't have chicken, but we'll be eating crabs in Maryland.
If I was there, I would be eating your chicken, and you would be eating my crabs.
Oh yeah, that's right, because you can't have crabs. So he'd be eating chicken and I'd be eating crab, but I'll be eating crabs. And you're probably thinking, there's no way you can eat 20 crabs. You're wrong. And I'm going to show everyone that how wrong they are when they think that. I was born in Baltimore. I can eat crabs like someone who doesn't care about hypertension. And I am going to eat so many crabs. So that's going to be on the 11th in the morning or starting at noon. And then I will be, after that, I will be leading a caravan to D.C. where I will be speaking at the End the Damn Wars rally in Washington, D.C. on September 11th. It's starting at noon. I'll be there, I believe, at like 4 or something at John Marshall Park in D.C. I will be speaking there. Scott Horton will be speaking there. Many other anti-war activists will be speaking there. And we'll be talking about the need to end it. 20 years ago, on September 11th, the Twin Towers were attacked in response to decades of U.S. imperialism. And instead of looking at the thousands of civilians that died on that day and saying, this needs to end, enough already, bring them home. Instead, we have engaged over the last 20 years, or we have actually been robbed by politicians to engage in a pointless effort that has made us less safe, that has cost thousands of American lives, hundreds of thousands of Americans' well-being, who have come home with physical and mental scarring. Millions of people from other countries that are dead, most of whom are civilians. We are less safe. Trillions of dollars just pissed away. And for what? For all the people that we said that were bad to still be in charge.
Did you say a complete destruction of our civil liberties?
Oh yeah, how could I forget? Total destruction of our civil liberties, people being put in cages, spying on every single human being in this country, and probably most of them around the world too, of every electronic communication that you make, pretty much every infringement on your lives and rights over the last 20 years, at least partially they've used the war on terror as a reason why it needs to happen, at least partially. And it needs to end, and so that's what we're going to be doing at the End of the Damn Wars rally. And we're calling for not just an end to the wars and bringing the troops home, but also repealing the authorization of use of military force that was passed in 2001, and putting the power back in the hands of Congress and forcing them to actually have debates in front of the public as to whether or not we should be engaging in a war, rather than just giving whoever's president unlimited authority to do war with anyone they deem as a terrorist. If you would like to be a part of the Crab Fest, we've technically sold out, but
the Crab Fest.
The crab. Oh, yes, the crabs. All the.
I can go toe to toe with you on some crab.
Yeah, some crab maga. So yeah, it's in the comments. Crabs. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Crab Fest. If you would like to be a part of the Crab and Chicken Feast, which I call Crab Fest, you can go. There is a link, but we technically sold out. But I bet if you can, if you email the chair of the party and say that you want to make a donation to be included in the Crab Fest, they'll probably let you in. So the price that was being asked for was $70 per person, or $120 for family, and kids under 12 eat free. So if you're like a big household and you live in Maryland or in that area, and for $120, eat all the crab and chicken you want, it's a good price. So $70 a person, $120 a family. All proceeds go to the Libertarian Party of Maryland. So the link is down, but if you email, and I'll put it in the crab, email for Crab and Chicken Feast. I'm going to put it in the comments. Chair at LP, what is that? lpmaryland.org.
It's keto friendly.
Yes.
For anybody who doesn't know. I didn't know that. I'm not allowed to eat it. I'm
Well,
allowed.
chicken's keto friendly too.
Yeah.
So chair@lpmaryland.org. If you reach out to the chair there and let them know that you would like to be a part of it and that you'd like to make a donation. I do believe there were a couple family tickets left, but that link's down too. So I did share it, so I think it might have gotten sold out. But I wanted more people to come. So try to see if you can get in there. They might let you in there. I don't know if they'll let you in there, but they might let you in there. So reach out and see. But what skin? Adam says skinless chicken is keto friendly. Skin isn't keto friendly.
Oh.
It's just fat. It's just fat.
Is chicken skin keto?
Keto, yeah. So also, so then again, and if you want to go to the End the Damn Wars rally, like I said, it is in, where is it? It is in.
Oh yeah, no, it says it is keto to keep. It is unless battered, right? By the way, I would love to see you guys start a page. So we have one. It's just not really set up. We are working on a Patreon. We have been working on it for about 2 years now.
But if you go to anchor.fm/Muddy Waters, you can leave a recurring donation right there. And
right
they charge us way less. And also they're not nearly as restrictive as Patreon. So like they don't give us a hard time for telling you things that aren't lies. Yeah, you could have been. Yeah, Adam Wiggs. It's if the chicken's breaded. Yeah, that's
right. You can't have that, but if it's just normal, you can have it.
Yeah, it's skin. It's fat. It's actually probably better than the meat in terms of being keto. It's just pure fat. Yeah, eat nothing but chicken skins, pork skins too.
Yeah.
Unless you're kosher. So after the crab feast, I will be in DC for the End the Damn Wars rally, and I'll put it's endthedamnwars.org. And also you can also find End the Damn Wars for all social media. And yeah, we're gonna have a really good time. Me, Scott Horton, who's one of the best speakers for the anti-war movement. You can't find someone who can talk better about U.S. foreign policy than Scott Horton. I'm gonna try though. So I'll be there too. And so it's gonna be really good, and it is a not just a libertarian event. We're gonna have people on the left. We're gonna have some people on the right. This is a nonpartisan. We have one initiative, one coalition built around ending the wars, bringing the troops home, and ending the apparatus that they're using to have these types of ridiculous, endless wars. So that's what we're doing then, and then on Monday is another fantastic episode of Mr. America, The Bearded Truth with Jason Lyon. He is going, do you know what he's going to dive into? This last week he had Dwayne Lester on, who is amazing. Do you know who's going to do this?
I have no idea.
I need to start asking him to tell me what he's going to do the following week. But if you have room for one more libertarian show on your schedule, make it Mr. America, The Bearded Truth and Cajun and Eskimo. So you have to have two. But right. Mr. America, The Bearded Truth is just amazing. And also make sure you're already listening to our shows too. Just do it every day, Monday through Friday. And then come right back here next Tuesday, same muddy place, same-ish muddy time, for another amazing episode of the Muddy Waters of Freedom. Now, let's wrap up. We have a bid from Shannon Schoenhardt for $71 for Susan. Matt, if you want to show them Susan. And we're going to give everyone an opportunity to make a last bid because there is a delay between the different social media venues. If you want Susan right now,
autographed.
If you want an autographed
Spike Cohen
Susan,
and myself.
I tried to save Susan, but it just didn't happen.
It just didn't happen. Jovid murdered Susan.
Jovid Faircovid took down Susan. So if COVID both them, if you if you would like to have Susan for yourself and your name is not, oh no. BDSM Guru says, was she not bidding $71 to beat ticket prices to the event by $1? I hope not.
I hope not.
I'm hoping this is for $71 for the thing. Anyway, if you would like this and your name is not Shannon Schoenhard, then you need to bid $75 or more.
$75 or more. And
Now!
since we know about the delay, we're giving everybody a little bit of time.
We're just giving everyone a minute. And
right, gotta check those bank accounts, make sure everything
I get it. You gotta check.
is gonna clear.
First
yeah.
of all, you have to
and then,
you have to hear it because there is a delay, so you hear that we're even saying this.
And then if nobody wants it, nobody else wants to bid on it, in that case, Shannon can PayPal us the $71 if that was what she was bidding on. She could send us the $71 to muddiedwatersmedia@gmail via PayPal, and we will get that out to you post haste.
Yes, we will be happy to do that. And since it's looking like no one else is bidding, which is great, this auction is going once, going twice, and sold to Shannon Schoenhart for $71. You are the proud owner of Susan, Shannon. May she rest in peace. R.I.P. Susan. I actually put on their hashtag R.I.P. Susan. So, Matt, if someone were to try to follow Muddy Waters Media on the internet, is there any way that's even possible? And if so, how?
It would be possible. All one would have to do, if you are one of the old school listeners who truly enjoys the sweet, sultry, dulcet tones of our masculine yet soothing voices,
Hey, everybody.
you just head on over to anchor.fm/muddywaters.
Anchor FM. I'm fresh off of the Spike Cohen Florida tour. Ba-bum, 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 bum, bum, bum.
Right now, superfan Sarah Anderegg has come into the room, and she hates this segment.
Why is
So
she
she's
in
giving
the
me
room?
a dirty look.
I don't understand why she would go in the room while we're doing this if she hates it.
I have no idea.
I think she secretly likes it.
If you go to anchor.fm/muddywaters, you can leave us messages that we will play live on the air on Tuesdays.
On Tuesday nights.
And you can also leave us donations, and you will get your name in the credits after the show.
We want money.
We want money.
Give us money.
We want to make sure that we don't have any more audio problems or video problems. And the only way to do that is with money.
We can only do that with your money.
With your money.
We're doing it with our money, so we could use some help with it.
Use some help.
Doing it. Little help here, please. Yeah.
What? I didn't hear what you said.
No, I just said yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, or you can find this and every other episode at muddiedwatersmedia.com.
Well, that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. Folks, thanks again for tuning into this amazing episode. Thank you to everyone who has donated. Thank you to everyone who is such a part of this. Matt, congratulations on your 7 years sober. May you have 7 million more years sober. May 1,000 years from now, may you wake up and say, who dares wake me from my 1,007-year sober slumber? And folks, thank you.
If somebody wakes me up 1,000 years from now on my 1,007th soberversary, I'm gonna be so mad.
Just let the man sleep. Like what else?
Just I'm 1,000 years old.
1,000 years old. You can't let him sleep. Jesus. So, and thank you to Shannon for her winning bid. And yeah, Jimmy Lee, find the after party in the Muddy Waters group in Clubhouse, Muddy Waters room, Muddy Waters Club. Muddy Water, whatever, in Clubhouse. And folks, thanks again for tuning in. And I will see you tomorrow on my show. Then Thursday, Friday, blah, 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 blah. See you here tomorrow, 8 p.m., My Fellow Americans, and all the other shows as well, after days after and everything else we said. Thanks again for tuning in. And where we're going,
we don't need roads.